Welcome back to a new school year. And as we take a look at how we're going to kick this year off, we're going to look at how we can get some additional functionality out of Google Sheets. And so I'm going to start. You can see I have a sheet open right here, and I have some data that I've already typed in there. But what we're going to focus on is how add-ons can help you. So if I click on add-ons, you'll see that I have a bunch of add-ons, but let's at least start with how do I get an add-on? And if you're doing this for the first time, you might not have anything here, but you will have the add-ons menu choice, and then you click on get add-ons, and it's going to take you to the Chrome store. Now in the past, we've looked at how you add extensions or apps, but add-ons are a little bit different. They have their own store, and you can only access them from within Google Sheets. I'll also point out that there are a separate set of add-ons for docs and for forms. So in this case, let's say I want to search for something in here and I want to look for remove duplicates. So there it is. I just type in that search bar and now it's come up. I usually look to see, first of all, how many reviews something has and how many stars it has. And the higher that is, the more likely I am to take a chance in using it. In this case, all I have to do is click the plus sign. It's going to then take me to account information, and this is important. It's going to ask you to verify your account. So I'm going to choose the account that I'm going to use it with, which is the current account, and it'll tell you what types of things that tool is going to do. So it's going to view and manage spreadsheets in Drive, and it's going to view and manage the data associated with that. So if I want to allow that, I click allow, and it will now go about the process of installing. And so that's going on, and you can see now it's been added, and it says go to add-ons, remove duplicates when I'm ready to do that. So I'm ready to take a look at how I might use remove duplicates, and I'm going to click on it. Now, most of the add-ons are going to come up in some type of window, whether it's going to be a window right here or one that will show up to the side of your work. And in this case, it already has selected my range, and you can see over here that it's highlighted all of the data that I have in there. Now I could change that range if I wanted to. So in this case, I'm going to click next. And now you can choose what it is that you want to do, whether you want to find uniques or duplicates. In this case, I'm going to click on duplicates. And I can ask it to just search in one column. So if you notice, I have my name entered 3 times. So if I click column A only, so if I went with this, it will find 3 sets of duplicates. If, on the other hand, I go with this, just column B, it's going to find these 2 rows as duplicates. So I can leave it checked so that all of them are there, and I can say that my table has headers so that it now knows what those columns contain. Now, we can choose what we want to do, and very often if I have a large set of data, I'm going to delete those rows. So let's suppose I have students who are registering for something or giving me their back to school data or collecting information from other teachers. Sometimes people will fill out a form several times. I can use the add-ons, this duplicate remover, to delete those out. But in this case, we'll just have them fill with a highlighted color. And then I'm going to click finish, and it does take a moment, but you can see it's actually highlighted the one duplicate value that it found. If I had chosen to delete it, that row would have been deleted out. So that's how the duplicates work, and the add-ons within Sheets. So if you read the article, what you saw was that we talked about finding data. And you can go to all kinds of sites and you can Google them to get data for students. And so this is the site that has lots of different data sets that students can use. But what's interesting is that if you use the add-on for the data finder and find data, what happens is you get this window that pops up to the side. And because of the amount of time it takes to load, I've already preloaded it. And if I click on something, you can see like 52 locations, it's going to populate all of that data into a table for me. And so if you want students to start manipulating spreadsheets, this is a great way for them to get data quickly. And you can see as I scroll across, this says data that goes all the way up through 2015. So there's lots of data that students can work with. And so this is a great way for you just to quickly get data sets for students into Google Sheets so that they can manipulate it. And of course, I can close this data finder, and now I'm ready to go to work with all of that. And it's even given me the link out so that if I want to check where that data came from and get more information on it, I can see all of the information that I need on that. So it's just a little bit of a shortcut. Now, as we continue on and we think about some of the other ways that we might use add-ons within spreadsheets, one of the ways that I like to do things is with mathematical expressions. And of course, I could type something in, like if I go over here, I'm going to close my tutorial and I might say, okay, c squared equals a squared plus b squared, right? And I type it in, but that doesn't look as nice. And we can use LaTeX formulas within the spreadsheet. So I'm going to go to G Math for Sheets. I will point out that this add-on is going to end on October 1st, and it's going to be replaced with Equatio. So you'll have to look for that to get started with it, and that's going to work a little bit differently. And here you can see the information that Equatio is going to start, and October 1st is the deadline, but since we're not yet to October, we're going to use this current version. So as this opens up, you can see I can do a simple or advanced, and really what I want to do is I want to put my formula right in here. And one of the nice things about this is that most of these will allow you to use text-to-speech input. So if I click on that, you can see it's starting to record my voice. So I'm going to stop that for a moment. I'm going to delete that out, and let's see if I can put in a formula. And here we go. C squared equals a squared plus b squared. So there's my formula, and if I'm ready to pop that in, I can hit it in, and you can see that now we have that nice LaTeX formula that goes in there. So that's a nice add-on for students to be able to go through and add formulas into spreadsheet and make them look really nice. So moving along, we talked about in the article about using the copy down. And so here I have a Google form where I might collect some information from students, like the height and width of something that they've measured. And over here is that spreadsheet where it's going to enter the data in, and I'm going to want it to calculate the area. So let's put some data in to begin with. So I'll say the height is 2 and the width is 3, and I hit submit. And when I hit submit, my data will now come in. And so there it is. So if I want to calculate the area, I might just say for this, I'm going to take this cell times this cell, and I'll hit return. And we'll delete these cells here to move it up to the top. So now I might say, well, that's great. I'm just going to fill down, right? And so what you can see is I have a formula that is filled down for each row. So I figure I'm all set. But let's go and enter another response. So now I'll hit submit. And that data should populate over here. And it did, but notice what happened. I have a blank cell there. So it wasn't able to copy that down. So I'm going to get rid of these cells here for the moment. And what I want to do is I'm going to use an add-on. And this add-on is called Copy Down. And I'd like you to start thinking about, like, what are the things that I really wish my spreadsheet would do? Because when those things happen, very often there's an add-on for more functionality. So in this case, I turn it on. And you can see it asks, where is the formula? And the formula is right there in the area. It's this cell right here. And it already recognized that, so I'll hit paste as values, and I'm going to save that now. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to enter another set of data, and I'll hit submit. And now what you'll notice is that it did copy that formula down and it put it right in here. Now, if I had other data, I'd have to go back and fill that down as I just did there. So that's a way for us to take a look at how we might use copy down. Next, let's look at another one called physics. And so if I go to my add-ons, it's called Phys Assist. So when I start it, what's interesting is that it will set up a data table for me. So if you have students that struggle with setting up their own tables, this is a great add-on to sort of help them. So if I say my independent unit is time, or my independent variable is time, my dependent variable might be distance, the change in variable might be 1 here, and we'll make it a half here. How many levels? Let's say we're going to have 3 levels, and we're going to have 4 trials. And now I generate my table, and I have my table already formed for me, as you can see. And so if I were to go through and put in my time and my trials, you can see that it also averages it for me. Sets up all the formulas so I'm ready to go. This can be an invaluable tool for students to learn how to create tables and get them done quickly. So let's move on to geocoding and the geocode tool that we featured. So again, I would go to geocode and I'm going to hit start geocoding. So I already have some data in my table, and you can imagine for our most recent eclipse, maybe we would have put in where people were taking their data from. And in this case, what I'm going to it asks me, where is the address? So I've only put the city in, so it's going to find the coordinates for that city, but I could put in a street address if I want. And now when I hit geocode, what happens is it goes out and finds the latitude and longitude for each of those locations. And what you'll see is it says that a map has been created. Now, I've already created the map because it can take a little bit of time for this to happen. But when I go to my map, what you'll see is, remember, I had 2 sites in Pennsylvania, so we go back and look. I have York, Pennsylvania, and New Oxford, Pennsylvania, and Eugene, Oregon. And so here, there's Eugene, Oregon, and here are my 2 sites. There's New Oxford and York. And so it has those, it's already set up that map for you. And we can start to customize that if we want to put more information into that map. Now, you may not realize that you can create your own maps in Google. And so, for example, let's suppose that I have, I want to do like a field trip list, and I want to assign different groups to be able to do different types of, in this case, particle accelerators or museums. And so I can put those in. And so if I do a search for another type of lab, so let's say we'll just do the Boston Museum of Science. So when it comes up, what I can do is if I add a marker, it's going to take me now from these 3, and it's going to add a 4th one in there for me. And so I can give it a name. I can add details here, and then I can hit save, and I can always go back and I can edit it, and you can sequence the numbers, and you can allow students to actually start going through and creating their own map and putting their own information in. And if you take a look, you can add pictures, you can add video, you can add directions, you can do all kinds of things with these maps, and then you can share it out for other students to be able to see. And if in this case we just preview our map, what we'll see is that people can go around and take a look and click on one of those sites and get lots of information from them. And if I go to the one that I just put in, notice that it has the details for that marker. And so you can do this on a local level or on a global level where you create these types of maps. And so this would be an extension of what you were using the geocode tool for. So as we wrap up for today, I just want to remind you, as we go all the way back to the beginning, that the way that I get these add-ons is that I click on add-ons inside of the tool and I hit get add-ons. Notice I have my list of add-ons right here, but if I wanted to go into Google Docs, I would have different add-ons here. Okay, and so each tool is going to have its own unique set of add-ons for you to work with. And in this particular case, I wanted to put in some equations, and again, I used a different type of add-on called Auto LaTeX Equations. And if I render the equation, right, it's going to give me that nice formula that you see, and it gives you the directions on how to do that. So we hope that you've learned a little bit more about add-ons, and we'll look forward to exploring our next tool next month.